For more on Ukraine and its economic challenges, we're joined by Ansgar Belke of the University of Duisburg-Essen. Good to have you with us on this rather exciting and urgent topic as well. Now, if you were an entrepreneur, would you right now invest in Ukraine?
No, the political uncertainty would be much too high. I would really appreciate to wait with my investments, and hence would direct them to other more safe regions.
Mm-hmm. And this is what's been happening. And of course, I mean, the situation in Ukraine is changing by the minute, one could say. So let's stick to the big picture right now. How did the Ukrainian economy get into such a dismal state in the first place?
Yeah, as a macroeconomist, I would immediately see that they have a twin deficit, import deficit, and also they have a budget deficit, a very strong one. And this was a consequence of hastening the bubble before, because much of liquidity was flowing into the Ukraine, spilling up bubbles in the real estate sector and other sectors in the agricultural sector, which led them to consume too much. Mm-hmm. And this is one of the consequences, what we see right now.
Okay, but Ukraine was also an important enough economy, at least for the EU, to want to have closer trade ties. How important is Ukraine for the European Union?
Ukraine is not so important, at least to say. It's below 1 percentage point of German demand, which is demanded in the Ukraine. This is what ECB President Mr. Draghi always is stressing when he comes to talk about this issue. Mm-hmm. It's not so important to be concerned about that as a bookkeeper, to look at all the trade flows. The more important thing is the crisis which is emanating on the near horizon, and this would inject much uncertainty into the markets, and everybody would be hurt by this. Stock markets all around the world.
Including Russia. Even Russia is hurt currently. At least the ruble has been tumbling recently. The Russian stock exchange didn't look too well at the start of the week. Who stands to lose the most in this conflict?
Yeah, we can start with the increase in the interest rates by the Russian central bank. They had to be enhanced to be hated because they want to still have capital inflows. So then you have capital outflow restrictions in the Ukraine, and this is hampering the efficiency of the functioning of the world markets. And if you go for instance, trade barriers for Russia, which you might impose right now, this would be difficult if the conflict will run for a too long time. They have so many resources. They are the producer of most of the natural resources in the whole world, and this would hamper the division of labor of the whole world.
Now, talking of natural resources and with Russia, especially gas, we heard in the report that it's unlikely that Russia will use its gas as a means of pressure, but Russia has done this before. And how important is Russian gas for Ukraine and Europe?
So Russian gas is quite important. At least 1/4 of the energy needs, the gas needs, are provided by the Russians for the EU, for instance. But if, for instance, Ukraine goes for a trade barrier in terms of gas, this would be easy to circumvent by the Russians by the northern pipeline and southern pipeline. And anyway, they would lose also because they are very much specialized, focused on gas exports and dependent. They cannot shift their networks, their distribution networks in the short run. Mm. So there's a bilateral mutual dependency, which I see there.
Mm. Now, we heard several times that Ukraine is on the brink of bankruptcy. The country desperately needs money. If Europe is offering aid, as it's done already, I mean, how many more bailouts can Europe afford these days?
We have seen so many bailouts, and also in the Greek case, a permanent one. So it does not add to the credibility of what we are doing there if we go into the Ukraine and try another bailout into that direction. Okay. So there would be heavy impacts on the refinancing possibilities, potential of other emerging markets in the future. They will see that reforms would not go far enough, and we need also these kind of reforms there. Okay. This is very difficult because the Ukraine is a very poor country, and hence reforms and the conditions are not credible.
Which are very difficult. Ansgar Belke, thank you very much for your assessment.